The weather lately hasn't been so great, and with the start of winter just a couple weeks away, we can only expect it to get a little worse and colder. The good news is springtime is only that much closer. We've found a really cool place for you to check out when the snow finally melts away. It's a replica Japanese tea house at the bird sanctuary in Manomet.
So this is the Ernst Garden for Wildlife. The original garden was put in around 1904. The tea house that we'll be entering into in a minute was built in 1905. The Ernst family, they were from Jamaica Plain. It was Dr. Ernst and his wife Ellen. He was a professor at Harvard. His field of study was bacteriology. And they took a group of his students to Japan to study the gardens there and to study, he was studying the different diseases in Japan. And that's where they got the idea for this tea house. Unfortunately, they brought back some Asian plants which have now invaded a lot of the property, so we have some problem with some of the invasives. The theme of our garden here is Garden for Wildlife, and our goal is to remove as many non-native invasives as possible, replant with native plants that the wildlife here has co-evolved with over the years. So the rudbeckia, the black-eyed Susan, is a native coneflower, and a lot of bees are attracted to that. We have the interrupted fern on this side is a native fern to this area. The black cherry is probably one of the most important native species of trees that we have here, and supports a number of different species of wildlife, of bees and moths and butterflies. This was Ellen's garden, where she spent pretty much from April through November. She spent her spring, summer, and fall here, and the tea house was where she would entertain guests, and it was really a great place to sort of bring the community together. This property at one time was completely barren. There was just scrub brush, so all this has grown up over in the last little more than 100 years. The bluff used to extend out another 75 feet, so we've lost quite a bit of bluff. We're only 12 feet from the edge of the bluff now. The tea room is still today a place where we gather together with neighbors. We had a wonderful party 3 years ago and invited all the neighbors who live on this road to come in, and the real joy of that was there were neighbors who had lived here and going generations back, and one was an elderly woman in her 90s who remembers coming here as a little girl and having lunches with Mrs. Ernst's niece, and she actually brought a photo with her of her as a baby sitting in the clamshell in the garden, and she was just a delight to have. So it's still a great place for neighbors to gather and other members who come to visit us.